You know, I'm wondering if this year could be the year where the prepaid phones can really take off. We've got the Google Nexus 5, which may very well be replaced within a couple of weeks of Google I/O. In a way, I'm interested to see if that happens, but in another way, I hope it doesn't, because I really like the Nexus 5 so much so that I'm considering getting it to replace my Galaxy Note 2, and my contract isn't up until Christmas. You can take a look at some other videos about that. Some other but this is $349 and $399, I think, on contract. Off contract. All of these examples are completely contract-free, carrier-free. This is the unlocked version of the Nexus 5, and what that means is you can use it on any GSM network you want. I've already gone through the benefits of GSM in my other video about how we should embrace the European cell phone model, so you can take a look at that. Another example is the Huawei Ascend Mate 2. Now this is interesting. It's huge. It's a 6.1-inch phone, and it's got middle of the road specs. It's not exactly top of the line, but it's not exactly bottom of the barrel either. Right in the middle. The things that this phone is going forward are, again, price $299, off contract, completely unlocked, and also a battery that can last almost a full day of continuous use on a single charge. Then you've got phones like the Oppo Find 7, which is something I personally have not really been keeping up with, mainly because it's rather confusing to me anyway. But the one thing that I have interest in is the OnePlus One, but I also have concerns about it, and I'll explain that in a moment, as soon as we get through with this current topic. Then you've got carriers like Cricket, Simple Mobile, Straight Talk, any of the TracFone subsidiaries, Red Pocket, that are completely contract-free, GSM, so any of these carriers will work with any of these phones. And of course, Cricket was just bought not long ago by AT&T, so they've made the switch from the proprietary US-centric CDMA technology to the more global-friendly, which in my opinion is a good thing, GSM technology that's used by AT&T. And I highlight that because of this. It says here that AT&T is to snag exclusivity for the Amazon phone. Now, if indeed they do that, since AT&T owns Cricket, I'm wondering if they might not also make this available on Cricket on their prepaid carriers, and I'm hoping that Amazon also sells this unlocked. This would be another great option. Interface speaking, I love the Kindle Fire. I've had some chance to play with it. I never really got one for myself, mainly because I have an iPad mini and I have no intention of giving that up. But if I were in the market for a 7-inch tablet, a number of things would be on my list. I think the top two would be the Nexus 7 or the Kindle Fire, maybe both. But also because I have very recently, in the last 6 months, been a major shopper on Amazon. I love their selection. I've never had a problem with it. Things have always been earlier than they expected to be. They've always been delivered earlier than estimated. I've just had wonderful service with them. Nothing to complain about. So you can see why I'd be interested in an Amazon phone. So all these offerings are prepaid, unlocked. Now, here's the thing. With T-Mobile and their uncarrier plan and various offerings here that are unlocked, prepaid, I have to wonder if this is going to be the year of the prepaid phone, of the prepaid service and the unlocked phone, and the year when things, I'm not saying this is going to happen overnight, but I'm wondering if this is not the year when people, especially of my generation and definitely generations afterwards that are much more globally aware than prior generations, aren't going to wake up to the price fixing, contract gouging practices of the big four here in the U.S. and are not going to demand that the system be turned on its head. Do you think this might be the year when the contracts slowly but surely may be eroded, and maybe in the next 5 years everybody will do prepaid? Because if you ask me, a carrier should provide service and nothing else. They should not provide the phones. They should not provide, especially the bloatware and other things that you may never use. If you ask me, a cell phone should be independent of its cell phone carrier. But again, that's if you want to take a look more at that, look at my European video. But the question I'm asking is, do you think this is the year when the cell phone contract in the U.S. may be starting to take a turn for the graveyard? So that's topic one. Topic number two has to do with this specific phone that I have up in front of me. This is the OnePlus One. If you ask me, 1 + 1 = 2. That's every time I see 1 + 1, I always think that 1 + 1 = 2. Anyway,
5 o'clock p.m., 79 degrees Fahrenheit.
This is a very interesting device. I love to tinker. I have been using Linux off and on for the last several years, and I've always used two computers in particular, my Vio UMPC and a Toshiba Satellite, that I have here where I am, to tinker. I've loved loading a Linux distribution onto a thumb drive, and I've used Mint, and I've used Zorin, and I've used other Linux distributions on the Toshiba Satellite. I've used Fedora. It's just wonderful to be able to go in and experiment.
5 o'clock p.m.
The OnePlus One gives you that ability as well. It's just as flexible as a desktop Linux operating system. In fact, it gives you a desktop mode. And it's $299 off contract. With the specifications, now a lot of people in the general consumer space are going to be like, as long as it works. But for the more techie side of us, $299 off contract for a phone that would ordinarily cost $800 off contract, I think is a steal. Now let's go back to the market for a moment. I recently watched a video from MKBHD on this, and he pointed out something that must be addressed, and that is, and I'm going to be the first to say, I'm not a typical consumer. I'm a technology enthusiast. I love reading about specs. I love reading about hardware improvements. Technology is pretty much my life. Obviously I have a life outside of technology, but you know what I mean. Anyway, I love tech, and I would be the kind to buy this phone. They have an invite system. OnePlus One's doing an invite system right now. So you're probably wondering, why am I not singing the praises 100%? I'll tell you why. CyanogenMod at its root is extremely stable and customizable, but it's also, it's stable at the core. The basic stuff works from what I've seen in the reviews, but there are a lot of niggles here and there. Now the software gets updated at a lightning fast speed, so that's always a good thing. But here's the thing. If I were to tinker with a mobile phone, whether it be at this or any other phone, because you can put CyanogenMod, especially with the new installer, you can put it on any phone. There's a reason I don't. You will probably notice that the Linux machines that I tinker with are not my daily drivers. That's very important to me, because if I tinker with something that's my daily driver and something goes wrong and I need to get stuff done, I'm stuck. This is even more crucial for a mobile phone. As somebody who's visually impaired, I can't drive, and I rely on either other people, public transport, other ways to get around. If I have a phone that is at the very least unstable and all of a sudden blacks out on me when I absolutely have to make a call, and that call can be the difference between me and me getting home and being stranded, you see where I'm going with this. The OnePlus One, though, hardware-wise and price-wise, couldn't be happier. Now, The other thing that I'm wondering about is security. I've actually got Avast installed on my Galaxy Note 2, and CyanogenMod is a modification that you need to have what they call root access. Think of it as Windows administrative privileges on at all times in order for this to work. And Avast has built in a root-specific firewall, which I really like. I think that's really nice that they've done that. But I think my main concern with CyanogenMod has to be the stability. Because if something goes belly up and I need that phone, that is definitely not a good thing. But no, do you guys think this is the year of the prepaid phone? And am I being too wishy-washy about it? I mean, you can probably see my point about how I'd really rather have a stable device that works when I need it to, rather than having something to tinker with. If I had a phone to test this on, if I had a dummy phone or an emulator, by all means I'd try CyanogenMod. But I feel like due to the stability concerns, I just don't think it would be a wise course of action. But I don't know, am I being too wishy-washy? What do you guys think? To both points in this video. Thank you for watching. Comments are welcome, and have a nice day. Oops.